Hi, so $6 million question is how much does a house extension cost in Dublin? And unfortunately this is going to go up. That's just the reality. The scale is from about 2,800, a little bit low, to 4,000, a little bit high. But that is per square metre in Dublin, ex-VAT. Okay, so 30 square metre extensions equal 84,000 to 120,000 before VAT, and that is the reality. I know it's a bit of a shock to the system, but that is the reality. Why does Dublin cost more? Congestion, labour scarcity. There's a real lack of labour at the moment, available labour. So what's happening is, I know one builder and all of his guys came to him on a Friday and they all wanted more money together, and it was either he paid them or they were all going to walk. So they kind of held the gun to his head. So that happens. There's bigger city, it's an ancient city, we're over 1,000 years old. Half of our roads are built upon valleys and dried up rivers and trenches. Grafton Street was a river at one stage. So we're crooked, we're misaligned, we have a ring fence of an M50 that every single person on the planet who lived in this country had been somewhere else, and we knew it wasn't going to work. The short-termism. Anybody who lived in America, Australia, visited Germany, France, knew it wasn't going to work. You go to Phoenix, Arizona, they have a 10-lane outer rim road, and it's built for the next 50 years. And that's one of the things we chronically are in a loop of short-term thinking. So we are a small open economy, we don't produce all of our goods, so we're highly dependent, we're highly open, we're highly vulnerable. When the world does good, we do good. When it doesn't, we suffer. So especially in the oil crisis that we have at the moment, we're feeling it acutely. Insulation has gone up by 30% since January the 1st, and it's now mid-April. That's the cycle we're living in. So costs to get to site are going to be reflective of that. What moves the price? Well, specifications can move it. If you go for air heatness, if you go for underfloor heating, if you go for higher grade windows, if you go for glazing doors, if you go for aluminium apart from PVC, that'll change it. Structural complexities, beams, walls, underpinning, foundations, drainage coming out, that's a big one. And drainage when you go into the new envelope of the extension, drainage access, limited height, cranes. I've seen cranes lift stuff over roofs. Actually I have a video of that actually for friends of mine. I was down on the green one day. I was down on the green, next thing I saw this crane, I thought, what is going on? Then I thought, aha. So a wonderful sweet girl who's a friend of my daughter's, her parents were doing work. Awesome people, very funny. Both, I don't know which one's funnier, but they were doing work, and I actually managed to get a video of the crane going over. So, and the crane was actually lifting stuff over the house and dropping it down. So, and I did send it on. So these things are subjective in nature. So, if you are looking at 20 square meters, you can see the figures 30 and 50. Should have 40 in there, but you can gauge it yourself. Why 40? Because 40 is the average. 39.2, you see it all the time. and 40 is the average because that's where you don't need planning permission. You would need planning permission for this baby here. Okay. What is not in the builder's price? Architect's fees. So you would need an architect, you'd need a structural engineer, planning if needed, kitchens, bathrooms, sanitary ware, floor tile and decorating, often included, windows, externals, utilities, connections of a sub panel for the electrics, and QS fees. I do get involved, but usually for an extension, it's an extension and a refurb that I get involved in. Me and others. So the VAT rate is 13.5, and you can see the figures here. And how does that impact? And you can see the shifting figure there. Okay, so you need to make sure that you know what the figure is. And I've heard stories of people arriving up and all of a sudden it jumps up, and these things happen. You're going to need a contingency, and no matter how loud I hear this or say this, I had one lovely client, and I must have said it to him every single day, and he still came back to me at the end of it, and he said, "Can you believe I got hit for 5% extras?" I said, "I told you it was going to be at least 7 to 10. And he just looked at me and said, the guy's cognitive bias was full on, and I kind of admired it because it kept himself. It kept him really dogmatically entrenched, and he was extremely lucky because he was also dealing with a really sharp, one of the best builders in Dublin, so much so the builder even came to me and said the whole house survey is wrong, and we were something like 5 or 6 meters out, and that was the initial survey, not mine done, the initial survey of the house. So he was kind of giving me a warning. He didn't pursue it, but he was kind of giving me a warning, and that's fair enough. Very decent guy. So there is scope creep. Roof lights get added in. Electric roof lights 3 meters long have to be imported from the UK. Drainage gets rocks. If you are around doing a job at the moment in Fox Rock, and loud and clear, first day in the job site said we're going to hit granite, everybody looked at me as a little bit crazy, and I didn't, because about 30 years ago on the same road my dad did a job, and I was the guy with a Kango actually hitting the rocks. And back in those days there used to be inspectors, and the guy came out and he said, stick a couple of anchor bolts in and it isn't going anywhere. So times change. And then price movement, we talked about the volatility. I've actually got another, didn't enjoy doing it at all because it's usually, well look, reality, we all got to face reality, but I did another video recently on inflation. So my services, talking of inflation, my services, bank and grant report, either or not both, $9.50. Then a cost plan, I actually do really good deep dive cost plans. Why? Because friends of mine who lived a mile and a half away doing more or less the same work, one of them got a price of $160, this is 4 or 5 years ago, and another one was up around $240, and when it was equalised the two of them ended up same work around $200. One was grossly under, one was grossly over, and people were making life changing decisions on erroneous work. So, and then my full service up to 650 grand is 10,000 euros. That's all in, but I'll do another video on that. So you gotta know your numbers before you talk to a builder. Gotta know your numbers. I like builders, I get on well with builders, they're good guys. The big problem is often breakdown in clarification and understanding. So if you need or you want to have a chat with me, great. And if not, guys, please look after yourself. Please safeguard yourself. Please put some sort of system in where you got controllability as well. Doesn't matter who you contact. What matters is you contact somebody if you need help. And there's loads of brilliant people out there. So if I can help, great. And if not, please do contact somebody. Okay, thanks very much. Cheers. Appreciate your time and listening to me. Really do. Thank you. Always good to share.